So he in the beginning, he's talking about a man who gets married, and to begin with, he's very happy, and then he talks about after a few years, there's the struggle of paying the bills and everything, and he says he is now drifting towards what psychologists of 50 years ago called a hyperesthetic condition, in which life becomes a series of insurmountable obstacles. Every molehill becomes a mountain. His whole psychological being is a series of rooms in which he is left light switched on, and life has become a burden. Some people become so accustomed to this state of permanent hypertension that they accept it as their normal condition, and take it for granted that they lose their hair at 35 and develop ulcers at 40. Observe that the basic characteristic of this state is that you cease to notice things. Like a man running for a train, you no longer have time to turn your head to left and right, and even when you have caught the train, you don't relax and look out of the window as any normal child would. The inattention continues. You try to read a newspaper or perhaps simply stare blankly in front of you, your mind grinding away at its worries. And then he talks about the same person going away on holiday, and he says, "It is as if a spring of vitality has suddenly bubbled into consciousness. He has ceased to be passive and depressed. He looks at the scenery with intense interest, or listens with pleasure to the local gossip in the bar of a pub. The inner strain has relaxed. He is no longer wasting his vital energy, and because he is noticing things again, his feedback mechanism begins to work. The pleasure he gets from the sight of a tree in the rain means that his senses begin to reach out, to expect things to be delightful and interesting, which in turn means that his springs of vital energy become more abundant. To look at things with interest is to refresh the mind, because when you concentrate seriously upon small details, you release the general hypertension in the rest of your mind, and your vital springs are renewed. When a human being is healthy, they concentrate on one problem at a time, put all their sense of purpose into it, and maintain a high level of vital feedback from their environment. They do things slowly with deep interest, and when they begin to get tired, they slow down and let their subconscious powers do the work of renewal. They recognize that overtiredness and the depression and defeat that comes with it constitute a vicious circle that must be avoided if they are to be efficient and healthy. And finally, he says, the point to observe here is that although hypertension may not be necessary, it is as widespread as the common cold. It would not be inaccurate to say that all human beings live in a state of vigilance and anxiety that is far above the level they actually need for vital efficiency. It is a general tendency of consciousness to spread the attention too thinly, and, like an overexcited child with too many toys on Christmas Day, the result is nervous exhaustion. So those few paragraphs really are a very good summation of the life and work of Colin Wilson. And those of you familiar with Gurdjieff and Ouspensky will recognize strong echoes of their work as well and their writings in those words. So Colin Wilson's thesis of human existence, which was a mixture of mainstream psychologists like Abraham Maslow, who I think he actually met and maybe even worked with slightly or lectured with in the 60s perhaps. It was a mixture of psychology and esoteric work like Gurdjieff and Ouspensky and theosophy and all sorts of things. And he did what I've done, which is take the things that you like from a system of thought and apply those and disregard, eschew the things that you don't agree with, you don't need or don't find practicable in your own life. And I've given myself the license to do this since I was a teenager, and I also give myself the license to do this with Colin Wilson, because no doubt in order to the necessity of making money and earning a living, he wrote lots of books on ghosts and supernatural phenomena and psychic phenomena and those sort of things. And he did seem, I think he genuinely believed in some elements of that, which I don't. I have no belief in anything spiritual or supernatural or metaphysical whatsoever, as I've stated many times on the podcast and in the book. But